Welcome back to the podcast. This week, we're sharing one of my favourite episodes so far, part of our new series of recap episodes. While we're busy producing new content for the podcast, YouTube, and our brand new Patreon channel. That's right, Connect, Curate, Create is now on Patreon. It's a dedicated space to learn, share, and grow together. And here's why we built it. Do you feel like your art is being seen by the right people? Are you getting the kind of feedback that actually helps you grow? Do you have a space where you can learn with other artists who really get what you're doing? If you answered no to any of these questions, Connect, Curate, Create is here for you. Our Patreon community gets exclusive and early access to content, behind the scenes videos, key takeaways from episodes and events, access to live discussions with our guests, and so much more. So, if you're ready to grow your creative practice with the support of a collaborative learning community, click the Patreon link in the show notes and join us today. Now, let's get into another brilliant episode, packed with ideas and inspiration for your own creative journey.
I have a huge smile on my face. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can't see it because the microphone's pointing this way towards multidisciplinary artist Fran Reeve. Fran, thank you for inviting me into your studio.
Of course. Welcome. It's very small, but you are welcome.
It's small, but full of so many delightful
Chockers.
things that you make.
Thank you. Yes, I really cram it in there.
Tell us what you're making.
Oh gosh, lots of things. I make heads. I make these soft sculpture heads that I really like. They're often needle felted. I like to play with facial expressions and just different forms of expression in general. So the heads, the faces are something that I consistently seem to make. I also make some costumes that go along with them sometimes for my performances that I do. I do these roving kind of characters, which are very fun, roving amongst crowds in a festival sort of setting and interacting with them and this sort of thing. So I'm starting to merge the heads and the costumes and make more, make the heads more wearable and this kind of thing. So that's sort of the next sort of path.
So in terms of multidisciplinarity, there's the visual, there's the textural.
You can put it on the wall.
and then there's the performance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're kind of related, but they're also kind of in their own worlds as well. But I feel like there is links. Like visually, I really like the motif of spirals quite a lot. I use them on the cheeks and sometimes in the eyes and this kind of things of the faces that I make. And then I also really like hula hooping, and that's quite a spiraling kind of shape as well. And I like how hula hooping is like a frame. It's like a circular frame, and I like making circular heads. And so like the circular frame of the hula hoop, you can often use it to capture moments like, here, look at my face over here, now here, look at my face over here. And it's a lot of energy going out. With the faces, I put a lot of energy into them, and then they hold that moment on the wall, which is quite fun. So they have their own kind of gravity, I feel. But it just feels like it's different sort of places of putting the energy. But I feel like faces and spirals and circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Energy, that's such a key word. We've been chatting now for 2 hours.
We have.
We have, yeah. Before we even put I think an hour of that was setting up.
Yeah.
Me setting up. But also, you've made me a cup of tea, and we've because I'd never met you before.
Yeah. It's good to get coffee.
And again, thanks to Maggie Jeffries for the intro.
We love you, Maggie. We love you.
You've given me a few insights, but I would love to know spirals and you talked circles as and you being within that space, so that and then holding an energy, and there's so much there that is so conceptual.
It's so exciting.
And so much about you and your embodiment. And so I would love to know, how did that artistic inquiry begin? Where did it begin? When did it begin?
Yeah. It's a good question. I feel like I started exploring it when I started my honours. Like I'd I'd been playing with lots of different, ways of doing faces. I always came back to faces all over the place, but I was always wondering, like trying to find a link. And I was like, one day I'll find a link that really connects all the things that I'm into, and that will feel great. And then I decided I wanted to go back to uni and do my honours, and it emerged as like the key theme that I was exploring, because you know how you've got like an idea, and my idea when I first started was like, I'm going to explore flow state and what comes from flow state. That was like the key, like the first thing that I was like, I'm going to explore that. And then from that, I started to I was really tried to be really present and get into flow state, and what does that mean, and how do I get there, and what does that feel like? And then I just realised there's like this building tension would happen, and it's like you start with the fluff and you start with the play, and then you get more and more and more focused, and you get to the centre of the spiral, and that's where that's where the good stuff is. And that's where I was like, okay, this is a big key concept for me, and I think will probably continue to be one for a long time, probably my whole creative life. It was the thing that linked it all together. So yeah, bringing the spirals in, literally figuring out how to incorporate them. It started with me before I got to the faces, really. I mean, I was playing with them, but I started needle felting, and realised that was kind of a literal version of that spiral, and getting more and more condensed, getting that tension, because needle felting is you start with big fluffy ball of fibre, and then you're compressing it more and more and more and more until it's just like this really dense form that you've created by putting repeated energy into it. You're pushing and compressing over time. So so I created these forms that were like these spiral shapes. They're just behind me, but anyway, it's all right. But,
I can see them.
You can see them.
We can see them.
You can see them.
If you're listening to the audio, switch over to YouTube right now.
They're these spiral orbs, and they just really excited me. I was like, ooh. I don't know. It was, it felt like an object that was the embodiment of what this concept that I was playing with, and I was like, yay. Anyway, but I still really wanted to bring in the faces. So
yeah.
It's
big. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. So this was at honour stage when you're really starting to inquire into your own practice.
Yeah.
What did you go to art school to? What did you go to art school to do?
Originally, with the bachelor.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to play with characters. Kind of. I kind of went in, it was one of those situations where I didn't really know what to do. I kind of was interested in circus after finishing college. I'd explored lots of performance art avenues, like doing all the monologues and the dancing and all this kind of thing, and I was really into it. And I was like, maybe I could explore circus more, but then it was a bit challenging here on the island for that kind of thing, and I just hadn't really been... it's not something that I'd put in energy into at that point. So it's come back around in the future, but
yeah, we'll come back to that.
But at that point I was like, I've always been very visual. I've always been one to explore my visual arts. I don't know how to say it. I've always had kind of a practice. Yep. I would draw and draw faces, draw little cartoons. I would make faces in big clumps of blue tack, and I've always been creative. So I was like, this is something I know I enjoy. It's something that it keeps me it kind of just made sense to go to uni to, and also I went there to, I just wanted to try lots of things as well. So I didn't really necessarily have like, I want to go and I want to do this one thing. I was more like, I want to try as many different forms of art, as many different mediums. And I was so excited by all the different forms.
Yeah.
There were some that really pulled me in, like soft sculpture with May Finlayson, and with Ashbird and stuff, and with textiles. I loved it. I got really into it. That was really exciting, playing with all that. And I liked having just like, they were just really encouraging of like, yes, make a giant cubby house and get people to crawl inside. I took over the bottom floor of the art school at one point, just like bringing in all of these objects that I'd found, like this mantelpiece, and I'm like, you're going to have to crawl through the mantelpiece and crawl into my little cubby that I made, and then you're going to have to explore. And it was basically like layers upon layers of different things in there. Anyway, don't worry. I explored lots of things at uni, is what I'm trying to say. But it all became relevant eventually.
Well, yeah, and that's why I asked the question, is because how you are I used the word conceptual, maybe it's wrong, but
it's a concept.
Yeah, but it's so complex and it's so embodied and it's so you. You needed to explore, try different things to be able to get to where you are now.
Absolutely, yeah. And I feel like it always feeds. It's all building. It's like it takes this little piece from this and this bit from this. Like I think back to a lot of the projects that I did through uni, and like think about the elements from each one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can really see how like it all makes sense. Like it's all building. And it makes sense how I got where I currently am. And none of it was a waste of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know at the time I was like, I don't feel necessarily particularly connected to this project that I just churned out for this one unit. But like in the end, it actually did really, it really fed into the practice.
Yeah.
I've just always liked circles. I'm I've made a number of tent forts. Immersive spaces that I really like to create a vibe, an energy kind of thing. Yeah. And I like to activate them. So like I had it for honours. I ended up having all the heads that I'd made, and I'd made this sort of shapes, these shrouds that look like create the shape of a body, and then they were suspended from the ceiling, and they were suspended through the roof of the tent. And you would walk into the tent and then you would be kind of like greeted by them, and they were like staring at you. But like the dream. And then that
was a bit like when we were walking into the studio this morning, and those three faces behind you.
You're welcome.
And I interrogated each one. It's how were they looking at me as I came in? What are they thinking am I welcome?
Yeah, you're always welcome.
But
I try not to be creepy.
Thanks. No, but you are, and you say you're creating a vibe, bringing people into your space as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like you create an energy in a space, and then you bring people in, and they are welcomed by the characters. I do think that there's like, when I'm making them, I'm very specific in the expressions that I'm putting on their faces, kind of thing, because I do want them to be, they're saying something, whether it's like they are inquisitive or like a little bit just shocked, but they're not necessarily saying go away or anything like this. They're just like, oh.
Yeah.
They're saying, and what have we got here? What have we got here? Anyway, yeah, there's lots going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, activating spaces, very exciting.
And so, for me, that then sort of, it gets me thinking about myself. Mm. So
because you're in the space, you're coming.
Yeah,
you're central to it.
In here, I mean, I'm not just looking at your eyes to see how you're receiving me. I'm looking at how everyone in this room is receiving me, and so I do feel welcome, and but it also, I just don't barge in and hey, Tim's here. It's like no, this is Fran's space.
It is, yeah. It does.
Fran and her friends.
it creates a safe sort of space. Like I feel very guarded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's and I curated it. Like I put them all in a very specific place for a reason.
Oh.
Like I don't know. I think about everything.
Yeah.
It's all considered. It's like you might think that it's haphazard or whatever, but no, there's a reason for where they are. You know what I mean? And it's like I could explain to you why, but it doesn't necessarily resonate as strong as it would. There's a reason.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And there's so much that we can't put into words.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I spent the last sort of 10 years of my research career trying to understand as an academic and do methodologically with my photography. You know, it's like there's things that you can show, but you can never tell. And so for me, with that understanding that I developed over time to come into this space and to be able to respect you in your space comes from my understanding that you have curated this space. I didn't know that until you just said it, but there is so much intentionality behind everything you're doing here that so I respect you and your space.
I appreciate it. I feel it. Yeah. You want to welcome people in that you know will respect it as well. That's definitely like I already knew that you would respect the space.
And that's why we were talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't
establish the vibe.
We just I don't just walk in and press record. Yeah, no, I got a sense that you know, this you talked about flow state and warming up and getting to the core and like, yeah, if we'd have pressed record 2 hours ago, it would have been a completely different interview.
It would have been very different,
because we've got to. We've covered so many bases before, you know, so many topics before we pressed record, didn't we? And I don't think all of that needs to be in the interview, but we were talking about festivals and communities and you did just say earlier in the interview about how you perform at festivals and creating a vibe. So there's a certain vibe there's a certain vibe in those festivals. They're enclosed spaces. You are invited into those spaces and you are performing in those spaces.
Yeah.
How describe the experience, you know, your experience of it and what you how your performance affects other people in those spaces.
That's very interesting. I mean, each different event will have a slightly different energy, I feel. Like, recent example, the Willie Smith's Midwinter Fest, that it was one of the, I was doing a roving performance there. And so there was like, I wanted to do an exchange of energy in a way with the patrons, the people that were at the festival. So, I mean, that's always the way, but it's like, how are you going to do that practically? So, I mean, I don't know if this is a very good example, but like I was handing out, the outfit was red kind of themed and I had a mask. So there was limited facial expression, but a lot of eye contact. Yep. And I would make my body language clear that I was like interacting and I had small items that were also red that a lot of the time children, but also adults would come up, and I would really treat the item with a lot of like care and then hand it to them, and then they would think it's quite special as well because it's about that moment and so it's not just like, you know, something that they would have found on the ground. I mean, that might have been like, I like finding things on the ground, I find them very special too, but like in that moment that's now connected to the memory of that performance that was just for them really in that moment kind of thing. So that festival was quite magical. Like there's a lot of other kind of ethereal beings wandering around as well, so you're just like wanting to add to the tapestry that is that space kind of thing. I mean, I feel like that is a pretty general answer though for a lot of different festivals, but there's different energy to different festivals. Like, I don't know, I can imagine, like, it would probably be more of a choice of what the character that I chose to be in a space. Like with that one, it worked well with the red because of the theme of the festival. Potentially at another one, like, I think that you can kind of bring your own vibe in a way. It's all about adding to it, but, you know, bringing mindfulness and connection and slowing down, even if everyone around you is really fast and, you know, they're running around. And if you are like slow and considered, even if they just run past you, it's totally fine because you're just holding that moment for like as the character for yourself, and then can pass on that slow thoughtfulness to them. And like, I mean, once I ran out of little trinkets, I was like painting little love hearts on people. And before that point, I had been non-verbal in my performance. But once I started wanting to interact in that way, it just sort of, I then realised it needed a little bit of communication beyond. So I'd put my hand out and I would say just, the exact words, it was basically like, would you like a love heart on your hand? Or something just simple like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I really enjoyed going up to groups of men and doing it. Because it was very interesting, because it's not something that I would normally do. I would probably avoid groups of men.
Yeah.
Normally. Not, you know. Anyway, in this situation, I was like, I'm bringing this energy and they will meet this energy and I know it. Like, a lot of them would, like, you know, because there's a lot of drinking and this at the festival, you know, so it's not necessarily, they're a bit rowdy. But it was very interesting to see, because once I would give one this attention and this love heart and just give them entirely all of this like calm, mindful, and then I would say, I hope you have a lovely day, or something like, I would just, I would like give them love, go forward with love or whatever, and they would just be like, oh, thank you, you too. And it was just like really like, they would walk away with these little red love hearts on their hands and all happy, and it was just very sweet, because I would and there were kids that absolutely loved it. They would come up and be absolutely covered in love hearts, and it was just really sweet. There was this one kid that came back like 6 times, and she didn't speak yet, but she would come up and was really seeking out eye contact. She would like hold onto my dress and then look at me like, and I would just be there for like nearly a minute. The first time I was like, and we just held this moment, and it was great. Yeah. It was lovely. Anyway, yeah, different vibes for different festivals. Like, I could imagine at a festival that was maybe a little bit more of a heavy music scene, maybe having like a bit of a different kind of darker character potentially, and kind of maybe moving in a little bit more of a jerky way. But that might not be as approachable. It depends on what you're wanting to, how the interaction, what you're wanting to bring to that space, you know.
Yes. Yeah. A word you didn't use, and this is my word, but intimacy. There's an intimacy in that moment. People in a crowd, and you've noticed them, and you've just invited them into your space, and to have a really quite an intimate exchange, but non-confrontational. And it's surprise. I've used this phrase all the time. Surprise and delight. So what you just described with a group of men, at first there's a surprise, and then there's delight that comes from it. There's a moment like that for me that came from my previous project I was talking about, Tales of Precarity, where that was in the process of making that project. There was a performative encounter where I had to put my arm through a hole in a wall, and then someone would draw on my arm.
Oh wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and whilst they were doing that, they were also there was some audio playing to describe their experience as a refugee, and so there's this trust in there as well. That was what I got out of that. I've written about it in my book. It really affected me so deeply. And so there may be some people who went to the festival who still have love hearts all over them, and wouldn't that be lovely?
Love heart.
But you said memory. You know, like it's a moment that could stay with them for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's very special to be seen like that. I think that's it. Yeah, like really coming in and being present and seeing. And it's like, it is intimate. It's true.
Yeah. And that takes I mean, you've used the word energy, you know, but, you know, that's a lot for you as well to take on. I mean, how does that affect your energy levels?
It's interesting. It's sort of changed. The first time I did it, when I sort of started developing, like the red character, I started developing when I was in Paris on a residency. And the first time I did it, I found it exhausting. It was, my heart was beating so hard, and like I just wasn't used to the character yet. I wasn't used to, like, because it's silent as well, and you're in a space, like, and it's very vulnerable. And like the only thing, it takes time to get used to a mask, like to get used to like being safe with that, and like trusting, like being present, being like alive behind the eyes, if you like, but also being like, and being real, but also leaning into the character that you are, and using that as a bit of a barrier so that you're not just like torn apart in a way. It's kind of like it takes time to get used to it. It's like, so just that you like weren't wearing a mask, weren't this character, and you just came up to someone in the street and you just held their hand and stared at them, stared into their eyes, and they engaged with you as well. And you stood there for like, 20 seconds or more, and then just walked away, and then nothing was said. Like, it'd be pretty full on. That's probably not really normal human behaviour. I mean, socially, I'm very into it, but it's also like, I would not be able to do that probably for the most part without this. But I would really like to be able to do that.
I imagine there aren't many people who do that. You've got me thinking about, like, so there would be actors, but they're, again, they're taking on a character, and they get into that character. But then
I feel like it's where you put your like consciousness. It's like, are you putting what are you offering them, and what are you receiving? So like if somebody, and also I think it's worth noting that like in all the interactions, I would always listen to the body language of the other person. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, first time I did it, there was a number of like, I entered into the space. It was like there were people walking around like at this sort of event, and then they'd all sort of clumped together, and some of them were really engaged. A number of them were kind of like realised what was happening, were like very much like looking away, or their body language was like turned away. And I was like, you really respect that, because it's not forward there. Like, they very welcome in the space to observe, but it's not, I'm not going to force them into any interaction that they're not comfortable with at all. Like, you can offer, but it doesn't have to be received. It's like, not everyone's in a place for that. So
No, this is what I've learned over time. I was telling you before about my friend Richard, and I've written about Richard so much, and how his performance art and his generosity opened my eyes to the power of performance, particularly public performance. And I think there's so, I moved through the world for a very long time without really being able to express myself in public spaces, and very comfortable. I was always very uncomfortable. But seeing how how an encounter with feeling, being involved in an encounter with an artist who is so generous that you will give you will read their energy, read my energy, then give me some of your energy. That's just huge. Yeah. That's why I asked,
really nice
how does that feel for you?
It is very much about them also being present and giving you back. That is really rewarding, because it's almost too much. It's like right to the edge of being too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to. It's extreme. It's very hard to explain. Like, there was one particular in that first time I did it when I was in Paris. There was this one woman that was very willing to engage, and we held it, and you can see all the things that she's saying behind her eyes, and I'm responding but also receiving, and then like it is intense. It is intense, and like you kind of have to. I really had to. Like that was the first time I'd experienced that properly. Like rather than being a observer, like I'd recently at that point had seen a performance of roving characters that were working with a similar kind of outline of performance, and at a festival, a puppetry festival in France, and I had an engagement with them that with just once. I'd come back a number of times, and then on the last time, they called me and like with the body language, and then we had an encounter. And yeah, it's very much like after that you want to just hold that moment for yourself and kind of step away, kind of thing. I think, in it, that being my first time as the performer as well, I really kind of needed to retreat after that, because it was like I'd given everything that I had basically to that. And so I kind of had to hold the character, hold the way of movement, but then I like retreated. So really that performance only really went for 15 minutes because I couldn't hold it. It's like you have to find strategies to be present, but you have to hold a certain part for yourself as well. So you're not giving absolutely everything that you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's my yeah. I mean, that sort of takes me. Yeah. The question, the follow-up question is very much: what if someone wants to hold it longer than you do? You're capable.
Yeah.
Do you have like a strategy for that?
Yeah. It's like I was saying, like it's hard to explain, but it's like, I think about it like where I hold my consciousness. So like I'm here behind my eyes and I'll be there with that person, but I will like cut myself in half almost.
Yeah.
So like down the middle. So there's a protected behind. So I'm like almost become one of my faces in a way. Yeah. So I like put a certain amount into my face, into the moment, but you have to it's like with your time, you have to save some for yourself. So it is just like, it's very hard to explain how. I don't know if I can fully explain how. It's like a portion of, and you like, it's like when you're being kind or a friend, and then when they ask for too much, you have to set a boundary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, because you can only give so much before you get to
exactly. Yeah. No, it's wow. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's a superpower. I'm just going to say it. Because as I say, for years I was the other end of the scale. I would never be able to do anything like that.
Well, I feel like that I'm astounded that I can sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it feels like exposure therapy, because I really do a lot of the time really struggle with eye contact. I really like, it's a thing that I live with, that I have to navigate. And so I do think that a lot of this is kind of like my way of, it's funny though, like struggle is an interesting word because it makes it sound like I can't do it. You know what I mean? But it's not the case. It's an intimate thing and it's a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's it's like for certain moments, it gives gravity to a certain thing, like to a certain moment. But it's
it really does. I felt it twice in this interview. That when you have really just, you've met, you know, when you're making a really something that's such important, but suddenly you hold my gaze, and it's a superpower, Fran. It's a superpower. But you talked about like there's a couple of other things I'm really interested in. One is our friend on the wall here,
Yes.
And the other is the hoop behind as well. And we might get some more of your characters, but I think the segue is into hoops and circles and what you're doing now.
Yeah. Oh, it's I feel like I'm kind of halfway through a transitional wave in a way. So it's kind of hard to articulate where I'm going because I'm very held by the it's very tantalizing hoops, hula hooping, and what my version of hula hooping is and where I want to go with it. It's it holds this sort of this power of like, yeah, it's like short, sharp movements, but then slow and bringing it around. And like everyone look at me now, and you can't look away because I'm doing this big movement, and then it's real fast and sharp, and then I'm framing my face, and then I'm framing this thing, and it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a different kind of performance to roving, and you're discovering it slowly, and like then there's that intimate moment. It's for everyone, and I'm delighted by the difference, if that makes sense. It's I always loved circus. Like it's had this gravity. Like we used to go to the circus festival growing up here. The circus festival, Golconda, is just like really like this event that we just like, yes, the freedom, the excitement, the things we were going to see, the kind of people we would meet, and like that environment is just like so gritty and good and like rock and roll, and just like, yes, it's just like it had so much power, and it still does. And so yeah, I'm doing this mentorship with the circus company Rook, and I feel so excited by it. It's like, yeah, I really like the contrast, but also how like of the hula hooping to the other things that I'm doing, like my visual arts practice and the roving characters, but they all feel really connected as well, because it is, again, all about the face and connection with the audience as well. But it's like an opportunity to create a vibe and a world and welcome them in. But it takes so much energy, but it's like it gives me so much energy as well. Like I have so much energy for it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard to explain. But so that was like the first part of the question about the hula hooping. But was there a second part about the face? I'm trying to remember.
No. I was really leading towards your mentorship.
Mentorship, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes, yeah. So we've got another year. I've been doing it for this last year, which has been amazing. I mean, most of the roving characters that I've created, so I've got the red roving character, and that has a few variations. So I've got a puppet that goes with it. If you're looking at the video, you might see behind. Yeah. And I'm just starting to explore that a bit more. And I've got a small isolation hoop piece that I can do with the red roving character as well, and also then the exchange sort of part. And I've just started developing this more clown sort of aesthetic performance, like roving kind of character that I'm still kind of figuring out. And again, it's there's a head behind me, and there's an outfit that goes with that one. So yeah, they've been the mentorship has been really helpful for developing these characters and learning new sort of ways of incorporating improvised movement. Learning about improvised movement and structure behind it has been really helpful, particularly. But yeah, I like Connor and Freya have been amazing, big supports. And yeah, really, really happy to be involved in their program. Yeah,
that's wonderful. And it you talked much earlier about getting into a flow state, and so you're experimenting with that flow, I guess. You said about different pacing and moving. Yeah,
that is a big part. I mean, I feel like I'm big on improvised movement and being very improvised and in the moment, but I am working towards having more structure and having a bit more choreography.
Yeah.
Because that's not so much something that has been, so like with the hula hooping, I'm trying to choreograph more now so that it's more reliable. All the performances that I've done up to this point have been entirely improvised. So you've got like a skill set and you're just pulling from them in the moment, and it can help. I really enjoy it with the improvised part. I really like that I can be really present with the audience and just like, because my body knows these moves, I'm just doing them. But I do find that with that, because you have to get into this frame of mind when you're in front of an audience and you don't know what's about to happen. You kind of have to access this thing where it's like, you're not, it's the consciousness thing. It's like, where am I?
Yeah.
where is my brain? Don't think about it and just do it kind of thing. But I would really like to have, a more structured set, like an act. So that's what I'm working on more now with the help of the mentorship. So, that transition is interesting. I've always been more of an improv performer ever since I was in, college. Like, but I think there's strengths in both. I think there's a big strength in being able to improvise. I'm very happy to have that skill set. But, being able to choreograph and keep it set, and then it so well that then you can connect with the audience. It's not like you're thinking, I'm doing this next and this is happening next. It's like, you can just fully embody it, and then it's just a very different way. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And retaining it. It's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, I there is no script to this to these interviews because I cannot stick to a script. Yeah. I'm terrible.
It brings a different tone, doesn't it? It's like, it's a very different thing. It's hard to be, I struggle to be present. If I've got like a script that I'm following, I'm like, I can make my tone sort of sound like it maybe is natural, but there's like a quality that isn't there.
Yeah.
It's like, so I just hope, I think I will be able to learn how to have that like still very present quality. I mean, I do it at work. We have to say the same thing on repeat all the time, but you want to make it sound fresh so that person doesn't feel like I've said it 100 times today, like so that customer feels like they're getting the original deal. So it's like, I know I can do it, but that's
a different character.
A different character.
Yeah.
That's customer service. That's a different thing altogether. Yeah, that's all right. I'm sure I can figure it out with hoops.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about flow and performance, but your friend here on the wall is static.
It is, yeah.
And currently you have another piece at Moona Arts Centre?
Yeah, big head. So called Long Sustaining the Crone at Moona Arts Centre. That was for the Women's Art Prize, Tasmanian Women's Art Prize, and it got the People's Choice Awards.
Congratulations.
People's Choice Award. Thank you. Thank you to the people. Although I think it's a nice one. It's nice when the people choose. That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a bit different for them when I'm creating them. It's more about me, I guess, and for me. Does that make sense? It's like the performance is out. When I'm making the faces, it's in, and the feeling is not. It's very like the cycle is completely within me. So like I'm making eye contact with these characters. I'm putting all this energy into these faces. I'm building this moment, and there's all that tension is still there, but it's entirely held in my body and in this creation process. So I sustain that for 7+ hours or whatever. So I used to do it for a lot, like an extended period where that would be my entire day, where I'd just be making this face and just entirely concentrating, and I'd have no thoughts, just no thoughts, but make face. It's interesting because I do think it's still in a similar world, but it's, the cycle is immediate. Yeah.
Yeah. And before the interview, and you sort of alluded to it at the start of the interview about with the needle felting. The more you work on the
denser.
denser it becomes, and that's what I'm
definitely.
seeing over your shoulder here is, and I know over my shoulder even denser.
That one is pretty dense.
Yeah.
Yes, you dense girl. No, it's there. Yes, it gets more and more solid the more you felt into it with the needles. They've got these barbs on them, so they catch the fibres and push it in. So you're always pushing it in further and further. Yeah, and then I would make, with those ones, I started with doing a certain style, and then I changed, and it sort of evolved. I would make a couple in this certain style, and then, like these, there's a number of them that are entirely needle felted all the way through, and I found that was quite a commitment, and they were really, like, I think it comes out with a good quality, as in like an interesting quality. It's very very specific, very hard to explain, but it is, you can tell that it's solid all the way through. With the piece that I've got in the Women's Art Prize that has a base of foam that I've carved, I think that if I was to needle felt that all the way through, it would be extremely heavy, probably not capable of holding its own weight, and because wool is quite heavy. And also, it probably, it just wouldn't be able to be hung on the wall, wall, unfortunately. So I carved the foam and then needle felted on top of that for like the layer. There's like a layer of felting on top of that. So I just go straight into the foam, and it's just like it holds it, and you can do the detail and everything. So that probably saved me probably 1,000 hours of work.
Yeah, of course.
Probably more.
Yeah.
So finding strategies to be able to achieve the same sort of result that I want, but it I wasn't really taught the details of needle felting, so I'm kind of making it up as I go along. So I'm sure it will evolve beyond this, but figuring out about foam was like, wow. Wow,
I can do that.
Strategies. Love that. Yeah,
but that's making art, right?
Yeah, just figure it out.
But I think it's this sort of, because you really do want to. This is again just feeding back, and tell me if I'm wrong. But you are working with the material. You're working with that surface in such an intimate way again to create this character, and so you're really just trying to. You're not taking any shortcuts. What you're doing is you're finding the way to do the bit that's most important, most productively. Yeah, true.
That is true. It's interesting. I kind of would shame myself for using the foam, because I was like, this is the cheat. This is a shortcut. But I also, you're right. It's like it's just a different strategy. It's just finding another way of, it's not better or worse.
And also I'm going to make time today to get over there.
Oh yeah.
And, but you just said, if it were all solid, if it were all wool, it would not be the same piece of artwork.
It wouldn't be the same piece. No, it would have to. Yeah, it would be different. You just got to make things work, figure out ways. I reckon I'll keep experimenting with foam in the future.
Yeah,
and it makes it easier for, I'm wanting to make things wearable. You need them to be light so that they are. People can lift them. Yeah. Even it being foam, it's still heavy because you've still got a layer of wool on top of it, and the foam and the wood that makes it mountable. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's lots of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
fabulous. So now you're the people's choice.
The people. I'm of the people.
The people have chosen you, yes. Fran. Where does that take you next? So you've got another year with Rook, with Freya and Connor. Yeah. And have you got a direction you're heading in, do you think? Or are you still inquiring? I mean, how does it go? How does it go for you,
Yeah. It's interesting. It's always a process of, it's kind of an ongoing inquiry, but it's, I just really want to, I think it's an expansion thing. Like, at a certain point, I will find the things that are really, like, I think faces and the sculptures seem to be, like, a big part of it. So however they make their way in will be, I'm sure that they, like, it's not wasted time. Like, it's interesting because I can't fully predict what will happen. I know that I'm excited by costumes at the moment, and I'm excited by performance. And so when I'm excited by something, I do feel inclined to explore it. Like, a year ago, I was doing only on the wall stuff. Like, I mean, which is fine, but like I've explored, my exploration of performance has taken me here in the last year. And I think I anticipate probably continuing in that avenue. I want to incorporate the faces, though. I would like to make them wearable, probably, hopefully animated in some way. I would like to make, like, large-scale animated heads that could be worn and then have hands, maybe like, large-scale puppets that roam the streets. I don't know. I think that will probably end up happening.
Wow.
And I think, because that's something I've been thinking about for a while. And usually when I think about things for a while, they end up happening. So, like, and I'm starting to already go down the, like, how do I make the heads and the costumes come together? And I'm figuring it out. So it's an organic process, but I reckon we're going to head in that direction. I think the hoops I will continue to explore. I feel very energised by it, so I would really like to be able to bring that in. But I think that getting into the world of the circus is really a really good, like, direction, because circus just incorporates so many things that I am interested in. So it's like, I think that you can't predict how that's going to go. But, like, because it's so unknown, you know what I mean? Like, it could be so many different things. It's where I have opportunity. Like, if there's opportunities that come up, and I will go for certain things that excite me, and then that means I'll put energy into that thing. And then if there's a different thing, I'll put energy into that thing, and it'll all just snowball. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, look,
it's a very vague answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's not at all. No, you did talk before about tent forts as well. So I mean, tent forts, your space, circus performance within a tent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I made a big tent. Oh yeah, I already said that. I made a big tent for the honours project, my final one. I know I already said that. I'm sorry, my brain is a bit tired.
I saw that.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Did you go inside it?
I think I did. My recall. Look,
it's okay. It was a while ago. It was multiple years ago, but it's I think that is.
I'm pretty sure I saw that.
That kind of thing would be very exciting, and I have this vision of people wearing my faces as their faces and wearing my costumes, and then there's a three people standing on each other's shoulders and doing, like, circus performance in the costumes that I make, which probably would be a bit dangerous, but also that's what circus is. I don't know. I would like to continue the costumes kind of thing, I think, as well. Well,
listeners, if you're feeling brave,
like, I need to make them so that you can see. We'll just give it a minute. I'm going to be wearing this one tomorrow, and I can't see, so I'm just going to be like, I'm going to see if someone can hold my hand. we gotta figure it out. I won't put it on anyone for now.
You need some of those Apple Vision Pros. Apple, if you're listening.
Are they like glasses and then you can see?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, you need to incorporate one of those into the masks.
I think that's a really good idea.
And then you perform at next year's launch of the Apple Vision Pro 2.
Gorgeous.
There you go. You heard it first, listeners.
We'll see how that happens.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I'll give Tim Cook a call. Yeah.
Set it up.
Yeah. No worries at all.
Absolutely. Love that.
All right, Fran. How can people find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is filthy_fairy, and it's like FAERIE.
I did think twice before clicking, but you were introduced by Maggie, so yeah.
You're like, I don't know what this is going to be. I may end up changing it eventually, but for now it's still there. And I have a website. I have a website that you can also find through my Instagram, if you would like to. It's Fran Reeve, Fran.Reeve at squarespace.com. I think that's the handle. Anyway, but yeah.
Well, I'll provide those links in the show notes, so everyone can reach out to you. Look, I am excited to follow your journey. I'm sure so many other people will. I look forward to a day when I meet one of your characters, and who knows how I'm going to respond.
So exciting! Thank you so much.
So yeah, if someone comes up and offers you a love heart,
accept
definitely
if you want.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Connect, Curate, Create. I hope you found inspiration and insights that you can apply to your own creative work. For highlights and links, check out the show notes, and be sure to follow us on your favourite podcast player so you never miss an episode. Tune in next time as I continue to explore life and work in the arts.